Have you ever picked up a t-shirt and wondered what really goes into its price? I mean, it's not just the fabric, right? There's rent, salaries, machines, a whole hidden world of costs. Well, today, we're gonna pull back the curtain and figure all of that out.
So, to make this all make sense, let's meet Ravi. He's got this awesome little factory pumping out t-shirts. He's got his crew, his sewing machines, everything seems to be running smoothly. But there's this one question that just keeps nagging it.
And that's it. That's the big one. It's one thing to be busy and making stuff, but if you don't know what it actually costs to make each item, you're flying blind. Ravi knows he's got to get a real handle on his numbers to see if his business is truly healthy.
Okay, so first things first. Ravi's got to do the not-so-fun part. Sit down with all his receipts and bills. He needs to categorize everything to figure out where all the money is going. This is like step one for any business owner.
As he sorts, he realizes his costs fall into two main buckets. You've got your fixed costs, think of the rent for his factory. He has to pay that same amount every month, whether he makes 100 shirts or 0 shirts. Then you have the variable costs. This is the fabric, the thread. The more shirts he makes, the more of this stuff he has to buy. Simple, but absolutely critical.
And this little table here just lays it all out perfectly. See that fixed cost column? It's just stuck at 100, no matter what. But then look over at variable cost. It goes up with every single shirt he adds to the production line. Starts at 0, jumps to 50 for the first shirt, then 80 for the second, and so on.
When we add those two columns together, boom, you get your total cost. It's literally that simple. What you have to pay, no matter what, plus what you pay based on how much you make.
Now, knowing the grand total is useful, but for setting prices and making smart decisions, Ravi needs to zoom in. He has to figure out what is the cost of one single t-shirt. And this, my friends, is where the real magic happens.
So we can look at this a few different ways. We could figure out the average fixed cost, kind of like spreading the rent money out over every shirt. We can get the average variable cost, the cost of fabric per shirt. Put them together, you've got your average cost. But there's another way to look at it, a much more powerful one.
And here it is. This is the concept that really changes the game for Ravi. Marginal cost. Forget averages for a second. This asks a very sharp, very important question. What's the exact cost of making just one more t-shirt? That specific number tells Ravi if it's actually worth it to ramp up production.
Let's just go back to that table for a second. When Ravi went from making 0 shirts to making 1, his total cost jumped from 100 to 150. So that means the marginal cost of that very first shirt was exactly 50. It's the precise cost of bringing that one item into existence.
All right, so when you take all these numbers, especially average cost and marginal cost, and plot them on a graph, something really cool happens. They don't make a straight line. They almost always form this distinct U shape. And for Ravi, understanding why that U happens is like finding the secret blueprint to his factory's efficiency.
So that's the big puzzle, right? Why on earth would the cost of making an extra shirt go down at first and then suddenly start to climb back up? It feels a little weird, but the answer is actually really human. It all comes down to what's happening on the factory floor.
Yeah, these curves aren't just lines on a page. They're telling a story about how well people and machines are working together. The reason for that U shape isn't in an accounting book. It's in the actual process of production.
So picture this. When Ravi only has 1 or 2 workers, they get into a groove. One person cuts fabric, the other sews. They specialize, they get faster. Productivity goes up, so the cost to make that next shirt, the marginal cost, goes down. But if Ravi keeps hiring more and more people and stuffing them into the same space, they start bumping elbows, waiting for a machine to be free, they get in each other's way. Productivity drops, and the cost of making that next shirt starts to go up again.
And here's the big aha moment. Marginal cost is basically a mirror image of marginal product, which is the extra output you get from adding one more worker. So when your workers are getting more productive, your cost per extra unit is falling. The second their productivity dips, the cost per extra unit has to rise. They're perfectly connected.
Now let's look at how this all fits together. Think about your grade point average. If you have a B average and you get a C on your next test, your marginal grade, what happens? It pulls your overall average down. It's the exact same principle with costs. And of course, the reverse is true. If you have that B average and you ace the next test with an A+, it's going to pull your overall average up. So when the cost to make just one more shirt is higher than the current average, that average is going to start climbing.
Which brings us to this beautiful, perfect point. The exact spot where the marginal cost curve crosses the average cost curve is the sweet spot. It's the point where the average cost is at its absolute lowest. For a business owner like Ravi, this isn't just theory. It's the most efficient number of t-shirts to produce. That's his target.
So all this is amazing for helping Ravi manage his factory day to day. But what about his big plans? What if he wants to expand? Maybe open a whole new factory or buy bigger, better machines? Well, that requires a slightly different lens. And that's where this comes in, the long-run average cost curve. Some people call it the envelope curve because it literally envelopes all the little short-run U-curves for different factory sizes. This amazing tool helps Ravi see the future. It shows him the lowest possible cost he could achieve at any scale so he can decide if and how to grow his business wisely.
So there you have it. We started with a simple t-shirt and we ended up uncovering the entire economic engine that drives a business. Ravi gets it now. He sees the relationship between his choices and his costs. So the final question really is for you. Whether it's a business, a project, or even just a hobby, do you know what it really costs?